Hello, my name is Eunice Mora and I work for the DIID at Ispadoso, more specifically at Recinto Urania Montas. Today I have the pleasure to work with you on the contents from Unit 13, which is called That's a Possibility. We are going to work with the past models, but we are going to divide them into two groups. We are going to work with past models for degrees of certainty, which are must have, may have, might have, and could have, and the negative form of each one. We are also going to work with past models for judgments and suggestions, which are should have, could have, and would have. But notice that in this group of past models, could have doesn't have the negative form. So we only use the negative form of should have, which is should not have or shouldn't have, and the negative form of would have, which would be would not have or wouldn't have. So first, let's define what are past models for degrees of certainty. We'll have that we can use past models to talk about how sure we are that something happened, like it's on us. And we have that the general form for using past models is model plus have plus past participle. The first model we are going to use is must have and its negative form, which is must not have. We use these two models when we are almost 100% sure that something happened. With these models, the speaker is making a logical conclusion and is almost sure, but not completely sure though, because it's based on evidence, that this was what happened. We have some examples. We have four examples. Let's watch the first one. It says Claire is packing her things. She must have gotten fired. Then, if I say that Claire must have gotten fired, is because I have evidence. I am almost 100% sure. Which is my evidence? Well, my evidence is that she is packing her things, right? We have a second example, which is Mark is broke again. He must have spent too much money this month. It's like if he is broke, I am almost 100% sure that he must have spent too much money this month. Right? Let's move to the second one. Here we have the one that is used when things are not possible, which is the same as impossible. Then we have could not have or couldn't have, which is the contraction. And this one is used when the speaker believes that it was impossible that something happened based on evidence. Then if I say, let's work with the example number 2. If I say she couldn't have forgotten the party, I reminded it to her last night. I am saying that it is impossible that she have forgotten the party because I reminded it to her. There is no possibility. Same happens with example number 1, which says Ahmed got a call and looked worried. He couldn't have heard good news. Then if someone calls you and you look worried, people can infer that it's impossible you have heard good news. Next, we are going to work with the past models we use when something is possible. We use may have, might have, and could have. And the negative form of may have, which is may not have, and might not have. Remember, when things are possible, we use could have only. We don't use the negative form of it because it means impossibility. Then they are used when the speaker is simply mentioning a possibility. Like, I think something is possible, then I can use this. And they are interchangeable. So it means that I can say may have, might have, or could have, and it's the same. Same happens with the negative form of these two. Then let's watch the examples. I have Maria hasn't arrived to the party. She may have forgotten the time. She might have forgotten the time. or she could have forgotten the time. I am saying that it's a possibility she forgot because she hasn't arrived. I can say in these cases I can't use must because we are talking about possibilities. I am not sure, right? It is just us and what we think that happened. Let's watch an example with the negative form. It says Jeff got a bad grade on his test. He might not or he may not have studied very hard. It's just inference. We don't have evidence. We are not sure, right? It's just mentioning a possibility. Okay, then let's continue with past models for judgments and suggestions. In these cases, we work with three models. We have should have, or its negative form, which is should not have, could have, and would have or would not have. Then, the first one is used for judging past actions, and it is should have or the negative form. We use should or shouldn't have when we give an opinion or judgment about a past situation. It's our opinion, it's our judgment. It is not going to change anything. It is just us giving our opinion about something that happened in the past, and we consider that it had the possibility to be different. Then we have, for example, let's suppose that I'm talking to Jessica and she tells me, I didn't study for the exam. Then I say, you should have studied. It was 50 points. Then I'm judging Jessica because she didn't study. I am saying that she didn't study, but she should have studied. Then here, should have is the short form of should have, is the contraction. So we have should have and its contraction, which is should have. Then when we are suggesting alternative past actions, we use would have or the negative form, which is would not have, or the short form, the contraction wouldn't have. We use would or wouldn't have when we are imagining a hypothetical situation happening to us and doing something different. A hypothesis is something that I imagine, but it didn't happen like that. I am just imagining if it were like that. We have that Jessica tells me, I forgave my boyfriend. And I say, I wouldn't have forgiven him. I am saying that if I were Jessica, I wouldn't have forgiven him. That is why it's a hypothetical situation because number one, I am not Jessica. And this is what I would have done. Then it's just a hypothesis. When we are suggesting alternative past actions, we have more examples here. I can say, my friends came around for dinner. Then they left all the mess and I had to clean it. Then another person is giving his or her alternative, saying, I would have asked them to help clean up the place. It is something I would have done. It isn't what happened. I'm just saying what would have happened if it was me. When we are suggesting alternative past actions, we also use could have. For possibilities, something that I consider that was a possibility to be taken into account. We have that we use could or couldn't have when we are suggesting a hypothetical past possibility. For example, if Jessica says, my boyfriend was sad and I didn't ask him why. This was what happened, right? Then I say, you could have shown more empathy. Then I mean that she, Jessica, had the chance to show empathy, but she didn't show empathy, right? Like it was a possibility for her, but she didn't do it. Another example could be my boss asked me to help her choose a gift for her husband, and I ended up spending all day at the mall. Another person is replying, you could have made up an excuse of spending all day at the mall, right? But the person didn't make up an excuse. We also have I had a friend at home last night, but she left very late and I couldn't sleep well. We have the person replying that says, you could have told her that you had to get up early, right? It's like you had the possibility to do those things, but you didn't do them. And this is all for me. I hope you have understood, and thanks for your attention.